Hello my friends, it's Bella and welcome to Beauty on a Budget. And I wanted to touch this subject today because so many of you have asked me about it. But before I do, I really want to stress that I'm no medical specialist. I can only share my story with you, and that if you feel you have anything similar to what I'm telling you, to seek professional advice. Because what worked for me, what works for me may not work for you. So this is my story. It's not what you should do. But please, if you have any of the symptoms I'm speaking of, please seek medical advice. So, fibromyalgia. Took me ages to be able to say that. Mine started, I've had it quite a few years. I started to feel, I think the very first symptoms was I started to feel very, very tired very, very quickly. And I started to feel weak very, very quickly after I did very little. It was the fatigue at first that I think I really, really noticed. But the sort of fatigue that doesn't go away with a good night's sleep or doesn't go away with a rest. You are constantly fighting the tiredness all the time. Particularly when you're not diagnosed, particularly when you don't know what's wrong with you. It's, it's wondrous. What's happening to me? You know, I'm sleeping well, I'm eating well. What's happening to me? So the tiredness is the first thing. The second thing I noticed was muscle pain. Well, actually, it's fibromyalgia attacks the soft tissue. So as arthritis would affect the bone, and I've got that as well, I've got osteoarthritis as well, but the actual pain from fibromyalgia is in the soft tissue. So I would notice that if I sat with my arm and it touched a chair, say something like this, and I would sit for a little while, that this would hurt me so badly where it touched. I would notice if someone hugged me or touched me, or even when I put a coat on, if I had to pull it hard, the pain on my arms was awful. And it wasn't a pressure, it wasn't as if you had to push hard. It just literally, when you have a fibro attack, you literally just touch it and it's so painful. I mean, it was scary when I first got it. I was scared because I'd never heard of anything like that. I couldn't imagine what it was. And I went to the doctor, and the doctor eventually referred me to a specialist, to a neurologist. And they went through so many different things. But the ultimate thought before I was diagnosed, what they suspected was multiple sclerosis. Now that should never have been told to me. They should never have said that to me, but they said that it looks like multiple sclerosis. But I don't think anybody, until you've got a diagnosis, I don't think a doctor should say this looks like at all. So it wasn't too long after that that they sent me for multiple tests, lumbar punctures and different tests. And for fibro, specifically for fibro, what they do first is they eliminate anything else that it could possibly be. So things that it seems similar to, rheumatoid arthritis. They checked me for rheumatoid arthritis, had those tests. I had the test for multiple sclerosis because it wasn't the bone, it was in the, the flesh, in the soft tissue. So they ruled all that out, and then I had to go, and this is some time later, I'm talking about some time later, because it's a slow procedure. And I just began to feel worse and worse and worse. And then they sent me for the test for actual fibromyalgia. And there's different points in your body that they test you with. Even when you're okay, even when you are, as I am now, and I'm having a good day, there's certain parts of my body that you would not have to touch very hard and I would go through the ceiling. So they are the tests that they do. And there's certain parts, and if you ever was tested for it, you'd know that. You know it, that's what they do, that's how they test it. When I was diagnosed, and it was years down the line, it was a few years this was going on for, and lots of things are going on in your head, and lots of things develop. But fibromyalgia's got a lot of symptoms, and all those symptoms are different for different people. So the thing you should never do, or I would say never do, is say, you know, oh, this, my friend's got fibro and she's got this, and this symptom, therefore I can't have fibro because I haven't got that, and that symptom. Because the symptoms are there's so many symptoms, and so many are varied in different sufferers. I can only tell you my symptoms, but they are not the only symptoms. They're just the particular ones that I suffer from. So over the years, between first feeling really tired and being diagnosed, and obviously they find things out and they learn things, because when I first got it, it was not very well heard of. They diagnosed me with ME first, and then it developed to fibromyalgia later, so they believe. But there's still not a lot known about it. There's still no cure for it. It's just learning to manage it and learning to cope with it yourself. So the fatigue was at first, the muscle soreness was at first, and the sleep pattern. The sleep pattern is now something I fight with all the time. I still have all these symptoms all the time. It's coping with them. There's no cure, it's just coping with them. So I don't do the things that I know now will cause me extra pain. I don't think I do things now that will accelerate my lethargy. I've had it so long that I deal with it, but that doesn't mean to say that I don't have huge flare-ups. So it is learning to cope with it. It's learning to manage it. It can cause a lot of other things. In depression, it can cause anxiety, but the depression is because of the fibro. If you suffer from depression, I don't believe that fibromyalgia comes from depression. I believe depression can come from the fibromyalgia, because I was quite, an active person. I've always been a worker and I've always been a doer, and suddenly I couldn't do those things. I was too tired to do those things. I couldn't watch a film to the end because I would be asleep. I can't lift out the oven. I can't walk far. And all those things that build up over the years, they do cause you to be depressed, because you're not the person you were. And sometimes that's hard not to focus on that. And I know I've got friends with much worse illnesses. I've got friends with multiple sclerosis, and it's kind of, the sadness is with the person you were. And it does come across me at times. I do look and think, oh, I wish I could do this and I wish I could do that so much. But I try to focus on what I can do. You can't control it, as I said. You can only deal with it the best you can, and experience and time of having it will tell you how to deal with it for yourself. Medication wise, I have painkillers, I have muscle relaxants, I have antidepressants, which is what they treat fibromyalgia with anyway, and different tablets that I have to take, and I take my tablets. I don't fight that. I'm not one of those people that say, oh no, I can do this on my own. No, because if I need medication, I will take medication. I want my life to be as good as it can be. And if the medication helps me do that, then so be it. I'll take that for the rest of my life. It's not depressing as to me as it was, because I guess my life now, I'm so used to the life that I've got. There are things sometimes it really hits me hard, because I am so limited. But honestly, YouTube has helped me so much with that. I mean, YouTube has helped me enormously with that, because I love it. It's something I can do. It's something that I can put a lot of mind to. I can do it at my own time. I can, it doesn't take a lot of energy out of me. And if there's days when I can't do it, then as long as I've got enough ahead, that's fine. I have those rest days, which I have to have. My bad symptoms now are sleep. The sleep is, I've shared with you many a times, there are nights that I don't sleep at all, not at all. And the restless legs. Restless legs is a very, very common thing in fibromyalgia. And if any of you have ever had restless leg syndrome, you will know what I mean. I mean, I'd rather have the insomnia than the restless legs, honestly, because I can't even say it's a terrible pain. It's a sensation that you have to kick. You have to kick your legs out. You have to move your legs. And it drives me crazy, and it still drives me crazy. And although the insomnia drives me crazy, because obviously I'm tired the next day and so forth, at least you can sit and relax with insomnia. I can read, I can listen to music, I can, but if you've got the restless legs, you can do nothing. You can't read because you're constantly having to move and kick and move and kick. And that's really frustrating. So they're two big things. The thing that I think hits me the most, and has hit me the most with fibromyalgia, is what they call fibre fog. And that is a confusion. When you know something and you've been taught something, but you completely forget it. It's much harder for you to pick things up. It's things you have to go over things quite a few times before your mind and your brain actually take the information in. And for me, that has been the hardest thing to deal with, because I was never that way. I was never super intelligent. I'm no academic genius, let me tell you, but I was kind of always on the ball, and as much as I try to be now, there's things that I have to really, really study again to get into my head, to remember. I think it's the remembering. You just forget. It's much harder to absorb information, and it becomes confusing. And if you do too much at once, it becomes confusing. And the pain can still be hard to deal with, but it's also a mindset with me. What I've done with it, it's a mindset. There are days, and I've had a few days quite recently that I know I've had a fibro attack. When it can hurt to turn over in bed, because one side hurts so much when you turn over, the other side's going to hurt, and you're debating whether you should turn over or not. It is a horrible, horrible illness. But what I try to think of now is, this is just a flare-up. This is going to be okay. This is going to go. What shall I do when it's better? What shall I make? What video shall I make? What can I talk about? I try to put myself in a mental place. This is just a flare-up. This is not going to last forever. Think positive. I'm not saying that works for everybody. I'm not saying, mind over matter and you'll get rid of it, because you won't. You won't. And it is painful, and it is frustrating. But I try to put myself in that mindset. And I've also got you know, a good family and people that understand it. I've got the backing of good family and good friends who understand when I can't do the things I want to do, when I'm, oh, they're doing some work next door but one, I'm so sorry. They're doing some building work. I've left this video all day. I've thought the builders would be gone by now, but sorry, I had to keep stopping and starting because they're doing some building work just next door but one, and you know, the drills and everything are going, so I'm trying to do the shots in between. My main symptoms: lethargy, tiredness, pain in the soft tissue, insomnia, restless legs, mind fog, and yes, sometimes fighting the depression of it. But as I said, YouTube has helped me with that a lot. It's helped me with it a lot. And fighting to have a positive mindset has helped me with that a lot. And diet has helped me a lot. Watching what I eat. I'm a vegan, as you know, but, or most of you know. But the thing that really affects me, that makes that lethargy worse in my diet, is too much produced food. Now, I'm not saying I never eat it. I'm not saying, you know, no, I never do. But if I can eat as near to the plant, as near to the base of natural as I can, it does help with how I feel. So when I say I'm a vegan, plant-based is a better really name for how I like to eat and how I feel better eating. Now, a lot of you will say, no, that's worse. If I eat carbs, I'm worse. If I did this, I'm worse. Everybody is different. I can live on a plant-based diet and feel better. Somebody else may say, you know, a keto diet is much better. I feel much better. And if you do, then stay with what's good for you. Everybody is different. Let's all respect that we're all different and that we all feel things differently. And because I've had this so long, and because I've tested so many different things, I'm in the place now where I know I'm not going to get rid of it. I'm not going to get rid of it. As I said, I've had a flare up just recently. But I know more or less how to deal with it. I know more or less how to deal with it. The things that affect it are a lot of pollution, bad diet, lack of sleep, which you can't help because lack of sleep is part of fibromyalgia, and stress. And I suffer from all of those. I'm a mega stressful person. I worry about everything, but that is part of my personality. So I try to avoid those things. I try to avoid as much stress as I can. But how can we not stress? How can we completely take stress out of our life? How can we not, you know, I'm talking more personal stress. Because this whole virus thing, you know, I mean, it's caused us all stress, isn't it? The way of life we have to lead now, which is entirely different, protection for our loved ones, a lot of us have lost people through it. We can't control that. We can't control that. Of course that's stressful. You'd be inhuman if you didn't think that was stressful. And, you know, the video that I made last week on the racism, yeah, that's something I feel so strongly about, and I had to make that video because I feel so strong. Is it stress? Passion? It's passion, you know? And if I feel I'm strongly about something, I'll speak it up, even though it may not be popular with everyone. I'll speak it up. So personal stress. I haven't lost anyone with COVID-19. So although it's stress, that hasn't immediately affected my loved ones. But it breaks my heart to see others and to see what's happened to the world, of course. With the racism, that's affecting my family, of course it has, but I feel so passionate about it. And, you know, I have to speak it. But I think the things that affects the worst are personal things that might happen to you, personal pain in your life, personal hurt. And I think that can affect us all, can't it? It's things that make you cry, I guess. And, you know, we all have to deal with that because that's life. But it can have a side effect. It can be another side effect that it will affect fibromyalgia. It will pull you down. But at the same time, we all live in the world. We've all got to live a normal life as we can. We can't shelter ourselves from every hurt, from every bad feelings, from everything that happens. We can't shelter ourselves because it happens to everybody. It's just trying to learn to deal with it the best way you can. And I think I concentrate, and it's not easy, but I concentrate so hard on my cup being half full and not half empty. There's days when I think it's completely empty. Yes, of course, I'm only human. We're all only human. But I know people have far worse. And I know that I have days when I'm fairly good. I know the pain is always there, but you live with it. It becomes a part of life because it's always there. But you think as positively as you possibly can, and I do that. I think as positively as I can. I count my blessings, to which I have so many. So I would say to anyone, firstly, if you have any of the symptoms that I've mentioned, please seek medical advice. And to anyone who's been diagnosed, I'm with you, and I understand how painful and lonely this illness can be. So, on the finishing note, definitely if you have any of the symptoms that I've mentioned today, please don't leave it. Please seek medical advice. As I said, I'm no doctor. I can only tell you how I deal with things. The medication that I take has been prescribed for me. I wouldn't say to you, ask your doctor to prescribe you this or this or this. It may not work for you. So you need that medical insight, which is why I won't go too much in the medication that I take, although I do take quite a bit of medication. And to try and keep your mindset as positive as you can. There are days when you can't. I know that. I had those days. They're hard to fight. I know that. But try as much as you can to keep your mindset as positive as you can, you know. You do have good days. I have good days. And I make the most of them, and I find something, and as I said before, and I've said many times, YouTube has been huge for me for, you know, giving me positivity and being able to, it's a huge part of my life because it's something I can do. It's at my own time. And, you know, interacting with you, you lovely ladies is just, it's such a big part of my life now, and it's filled such a huge void. So I would say that too, to find something in your life that you can do personally for you. Maybe you can't do the things you used to. No, I certainly can't. I mean, I couldn't manage 100 people now. I couldn't manage 10. But I find things to fill those gaps, and I find that makes things much better for me. And, you know, it fills my life. It fills some voids for me. But I do understand if you have it and you suffer from it. I am with you. I do understand how utterly miserable it can be. I'm going to leave some links below for people that know far more than I do and that can give you far better advice than I can. As I said, I can only give you my circumstances. So that's a little bit around what I have and what I deal with. And so many of you asked, and I just wanted to sort of give you an oversight really about that. So I hope you enjoyed it. Nobody likes videos about illness, do they? But I hope you can understand where I'm coming from and why I wanted to tell you these things. I'll see you again in my next video. Please take care of yourselves, guys. Love you all and thank you. Thank you. Bye.